Hi everybody. I'm trying to be very quiet. Did you hear that? Hopefully you'll hear it again. That's the sound of a woodpecker. I can't see the woodpecker, so I can't tell what kind it is. He's getting his home ready. Probably to make baby, probably for make a nest up there. We have a tree in our yard here that has a lot of woodpecker holes in it. Seems to be a common woodpecker sanctuary every year. So this week we've been talking a lot about birds in general. So I thought today we'd have kind of a backyard kind of learning day or sharing day. And we're going to talk about all kinds of things about birds. And I think we're going to have a co-host in that woodpecker. There's also, you don't know if you can hear it, besides the airplane. There's a lot of other songbirds around right now today. Oh, I see a really beautiful yellow bird on the top of that tree back there. There's a bluebird, a blue jay flying through our yard earlier this morning too. Birds are fascinating because their place in the food chain depends on kind of who they are. Some birds are predator birds and meat carnivores, and they tend to be almost apex predators, but not quite. But everybody has some place in the food. All the birds have a place in the food chain, kind of depending on what they eat and who eats them. So they're fascinating and they're beautiful, and they're a great sign of spring. So hopefully you can see far in the distance there are some of the bird feeders we have at our house in our backyard. I don't know if Jamie can zoom in a little bit. There you go. So we're going to actually talk about what's out there and what isn't out there, because we don't have all the bird feeders set up yet. But I wanted to kind of talk to you about the different bird feeders and why we have different bird feeders. I have 2 bird feeders here that I haven't put out yet. My dad used to have all these bird feeders used to be in his backyard, but in Florida they're not allowed to have bird feeders and wild bird feeders out for the birds, so I kind of inherited them from him, so thanks, Dad. And it's kind of fun because I had to learn more about the birds and what he used to put in each feeder and what kind of things draw birds in. So some of you might have something like this at home. This is actually a hummingbird feeder. And I haven't started this yet. It really isn't warm enough. You might see hummingbird feeders sometimes have red colored water in them to attract the hummingbirds. That kind of water with dye in it and sticky water that comes in a pre-made formula actually isn't the best for the hummingbirds. Scientists have found that kind of makes them kind of sluggish, and it's not healthy for them, so they can't really be the wonderful little hummingbirds that they are. I didn't see a hummingbird until I was a grown-up. It took me a while to figure out how to bring those in and feed them. But that's a hummingbird feeder, and we can talk more about what we put in there. It's basically just a sugar and water mixture, just a plain sugar water mixture. They'll find it. This bird feeder, I'm trying to remember. I know my dad used to put jelly in one side and I think bird seed in the other, or water in the other. So we're going to put some jelly on one side of this today, and we'll set this out someplace for the birds to find, but maybe on our clothesline back there. So Jamie's going to come with me, and we'll take a very quiet walk to the backyard bird feeders. Now these are cedar trees, and some birds just like these because they are so full that they provide a lot of really good protection. So if they build their nests in there, they're really well protected. And our cedar trees are kind of starting to wake up a little bit.
And like that squirrel up there.
Oh, is there a squirrel up there goofing around?
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. I wanted to show you this. You probably will notice this weed coming up in your yard. Jamie, you might want to step. There you go. Make sure there's some sunshine on it. It's really soft, and actually it's a little fuzzy. And this is actually called lamb's wool or lamb's ear. And that's a really fun weed to have in your yard. And it actually can be used for all kinds of things. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Anthony. And hi, Darlene. So we're going to go back over and head over to our bird feeder. I think the birds have been... Oh, I heard something chirping up there. We see all these little divots in the yard here. Those are all the voles and the moles coming back from the winter. Some of them are squirrels. You can see some bird seed, some squirrels have found my bird feeder. This kind of bird feeder is better for bigger bird seed. Birds that have really long beaks get into this. And we did put some carrots out for the squirrels, and we'll see how those come along. So I'll be refilling this in the next couple days. This bird feeder is standing empty right now, but we're going to put a couple things in there today. This is the kind of bird feeder that smaller birds and actually larger birds like to be on too, because you don't have to do much to get to the seed. You just fill that up with thistle seed. Our suet feeder. Suet is kind of like a lard, and it's actually got birdseed compacted in it. So those birds that have to pick at things to get their food are like those kind of feeders. It's also the kind of feeder that hangs normally off a tree. So maybe we'll find a tree for it to hang off of later this morning. And however, the squirrels like this too. Speaker volume. Me or the speaker, darling? Sorry. I forgot I'm outside. Besides, I'm trying to be a little quieter so I don't take the birds off. Now, this bird feeder again can have thistle in it. When I've been putting in it, and what you see in it is not a squirrel. This is actually wool. And I'm actually going to take some of the wool out of here right now. It's raw wool. I have done some spinning, drop spindle spinning with it. And I've just had that in there for right now because we got an early spring. And I wanted the birds to have something to start building nests with. And we're going to actually make a nesting ball or a nesting thing in just a little bit. There's some green shoots coming out of some of my lilies. I don't know that my lavender, I haven't gotten this bed raked out or anything yet. I'm hoping my lavender will come back. Looks like it made it through the winter. Still smells like lavender, so that one made it. Looks like this one will be coming back too. So we'll be doing seeds and plants and flowers and trees in the next week or two. So let's head back up to my table with all my project things on it. Jamie is my cameraman. He's my youngest, and he's going to help us out. A lot of you have met Jamie. So let's start. I guess since I have the wool in my hands, I could probably start with making our nesting ball. So one of the things that you can use is Jamie has been going through oranges quite a bit. He's been eating a lot of oranges. But I know onions and potatoes and other foods come in these stupid plastic containers, but they're mesh, and that makes it really good and really easy for the birds to find things out, to really grab things from between the pieces of the mesh. So I'm going to take the label off of here. Hopefully, I can get a lot of the label off of here. Otherwise, Jamie's going to have to eat a bunch more oranges and get me another bag.
Oh well. We are not sponsored.
Yes, if you have fishnet stockings, use fishnet stockings. But, you know, this is a kid's production, so I'm trying to be nice. So I've got this almost off of here. And I'm just going to cut the bottom label off because I want to keep that, that seam down at the bottom. So hopefully there's enough of the bag part left. Almost. And you can use any kind of ribbon or, you know, loose thready things. Ribbon, yarn scraps. I have some kind of worn out fabric scraps I'm going to go ahead and put in.
Zip ties.
No, you can't use zip ties because those are plastic. But this is just old cotton fabric. And what's really neat is if you use some brighter colors, you might be able to see the bird's nest a little easier later in the spring. I am going to cut them down a little shorter, just so the birds can get them out. Oh, look, there's threads flying all over the place. Just so the birds can get them out a little simpler. And that way they can use them to build their nest a little easier. Down, where's it down? Ribbon down, ribbon down. Pick up my fabric scraps. Oh, I just heard probably a robin. Robins have a very sweet song. And while I'm doing this, we can talk about bird songs. If you get really, really into birding, which actually is what you call someone who really likes to watch birds, if you get into birding as kind of like a hobby or whatnot, I know some people that are really into birding actually learn the different bird calls, of different kinds of birds. I have an old pair of denim pants that are kind of worn, so I'm going to cut off the kind of thready part and just put those, see how there's threads hanging off of there? Any kind of threadbare stuff. And you know, again, this is something that kids can do. You kids can be ripping stuff apart, especially if you wanted to, you know, got in a fight with your brother or sister earlier in the day. You just feel like you need to rip them. I just wish I could just rip something apart. Especially if you're stuck inside. We have a beautiful day today. Beautiful blue skies.
I have a whistle. It's not a bird whistle, but I have a whistle.
I hear strange sounds, but I also hear the bird song, so that just makes me really happy. So I'm just gonna, and actually just, here we go. So this is, I know it looks kind of weird, but make it into a little ball like that. And we're gonna go hang it back out on our tree in just a second. Let me tie this all up. I know it looks a little scary to you and me, but if I'm a mama bird and I want to make my bird nest nice and soft for my nest, I'm gonna go ahead and do something like this. I'm gonna grab something very soft, like that. So that's how make a really simple version of a nesting ball. So I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. And let me get this out of the way for you. And one thing my dad told me that Oreos like is oranges. I think that's the other thing he usually puts in the other half is an orange.
I like oranges.
I know you like oranges. He'll put an actual orange in there. What? I'm not going to put an actual orange in there right now. But another thing he said is that some birds have a real sweet tooth. I know. I hear that.
I can see it from here.
See the big crow up there?
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a little bird above it. So I'm actually going to put some jelly on the other side of this.
That black dot right there is the crow.
That's the crow. Might be a grackle, I'm not sure. I'm actually using lingonberry jelly because I haven't kept up with using with my lingonberries. Oh, here it goes.
Ah, I missed it.
And I'm going to put some water in that orange peel. Get a little zhuzh. Where do you think we should put this one? I think we should put it on the edge of the clothing line because it's got a nice big loop at the top. So we're going to go put these out. No, I got them.
Somebody's ready for breakfast.
I know we should have brought the compost. Oh.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Everybody's talking.
Now do you need my help? I am once again asking for your bird hanging support.
Oh! And this is actually a forsythia tree. I don't know if Jamie can See, but those are actually the buds, which forsythias are one of the first trees that come out in the springtime. So
Focus, young camera.
don't make my camera freak out.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
wow. Look, we got brand new shoots coming up. Those are brand new shoots coming up on this forsythia, so it's nice and healthy. It likes where it's living. However, the ground underneath my stem is very mushy. There's more lambs here are mowing. So I'll be out here later today. Compost pile is still going strong here, right here.
I have a pile of wood that needs to get rid of. That pile right there was bigger a few days ago.
Hear the birds.
I do agree that spring is amazing.
So you can see my composter over here. We're getting that started pretty soon here.
Oh boy.
Probably see what's been living in it over the winter.
Me.
That's
I
always
have.
a surprise. And we have some daffodils coming up over here.
I always thought flowers were next week.
Well, it doesn't hurt to show people that they're there. Signs of spring are everywhere. So, what else? Oh, I know what else we're gonna do. And since I didn't bring any string out, we're just gonna have to do it on a piece of fabric. But that's okay, I think you get the basic idea. So, okay. I'm gonna risk trademark infringement here. But we're going to use a circular ring-shaped cereal, and we're gonna make bird feeders from these. This is a great activity for a rainy day.
It's just to zoom in on your face so that the box isn't in the frame.
So the box is in the frame. I would usually use like gift wrap ribbon, yarn, or any of the other things that I totally forgot to bring outside. But since this is outside, you just string a bunch up here. This is a different grade now.
I'm pretty sure that's an automobile.
Chirp, chirp. I wonder if that woodpecker is watching us. Or just found a different tree with different kinds of bugs. That's why they peck. It's not because they're, trying.
Bored.
Not because they're bored. Ooh.
Those are
Like a
children.
neighbor kid.
Those are just kids. Pesky little rascals are everywhere.
So something like this you could put on tree branches in any kind of tree. And especially if you use something like this fabric scrap. They can go ahead and use that for nesting material then too, because there's already threads sticking off of it. And remember, they're little tiny beaks.
Not to mention it'll taste good.
A fun experiment to do is also you can go outside and pretend you're a bird. And give your kids, or if you kids want to ask mom if you can use mom's tweezers or a pair of tweezers. First aid kits have a cheapy pair of tweezers you might be able to use. You use a pair of tweezers and you can be the bird. And see what kind of food you would eat with the tweezers. Would you eat something as big as a peanut with a tweezer? If you have a tweezer beak, you may not be able to get it in there. So let's go. I don't have enough on there to really go put on a tree. I'll probably finish that up later. Maybe we'll come back later to that. Move all my good compost out of the way here. And we are going to make, hopefully this isn't too cold. We're going to make some really fun, another little bird feeder. We're going to kind of make our own suet cakes. do not use peanut butter with your birds. Okay? Birds and peanut butter, bad. Although I'm sure my friend Andrew is going to get on here and say, you can use bird dinner with peanut butter. No. Okay.
Didn't we do that with pine cones, though?
We did do it with pine cones, so we use short meat for those too. So what you can do is take a cookie cutter. You know me and my cookie cutters. I love my cookie cutters. And I don't have birdseed out here, so I'm going to use Cheerios. And again, Jamie's going to make sure I don't violate copyright.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Along with my charming wit.
And your tenacity with the camera.
Sure.
So, what you can do is, and you could pre-mix it if you want. I'm just doing it this way because this is just how I happen to do it today. Basically, you're going to fill your cookie cutter up with your nondescript all-vegetable shortening, which, I mean, a lot of these projects, you can get the stuff at the dollar store, so you don't have to worry about it. And I'm just going to crumble the nondescript O-shaped cereal, or birdseed if you have it. And I'm just going to crumple it all up. If you want a really fun science experiment, you can do this with anything that says it's iron fortified. Do this and put it in a bag of water, let it all disintegrate, mush it all up, and you can actually use a magnet to pull the iron out of the cereal. You can separate that. Okay, so there's my makeshift bird seed, and I'm going to push it all down in there. Like I said, it's better with real bird seed. Push, push, push. This is not Julia Childs. Like, take the bird seed and put it in the. Or I can do the Swedish chef too. First you take the bird seed and put it in the Saturday. So anyway. See if I can get these cones. Again, go to the dollar store. Or get one. You know, I always have these cookie cutters that when I go to use them at Christmas, they don't look like I don't want to cut cookies out of them because they're kind of nasty looking. I'm going to pretend these crumbs are all birdseed. And then, I'm just going to use these old pants. This deep towel. Fabric scrap. Now, if you use a small cookie cutter like this, you can let it harden for a while and then push the shape out of the cookie cutter. Or you can just do what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to put this right through here. That way it's kind of reusable. And again, I'm using my fabric scraps. So we can go tie this to a tree too. And then I'm going to bring my peanuts out too. One more trip out to the trees. I think we're going to put this one in the cedar tree. Just for right now.
Watch out, there might be some holes I didn't fill in the right one.
We just scared a bird right out of there.
Ah, that's fine. And the mosquitoes are back.
Hello, cedar. Cedar trees are one of the 4 sacred trees to our Native American brothers and sisters. So we always say thank you to the cedars. And they always smell good. I love how cedar smells.
That doesn't mean purposely burn it.
Oh, look at the little, there's still cones left on from last winter. I bet I know what some of the birds are eating. I hear you laughing. Some of the birds, I swear, they sound like they're laughing at me. Well, here's some peanuts, and I'm gonna put some peanuts on that bird feeder that doesn't have the thistle on it. See if I can keep the squirrels off my bird seed. And see what else I can bring down. I mean, some of these birds that like to peck might want some of these peanuts. Get out of there, Jamie. They are processed, so the birds might not eat them, but... So there's that. Need to get some thistle seed, and I do have more bird seed for the bird feeders inside. So, well, they've been having a good time with the sunflower seeds now.
Anti-squirrel device.
Yes, that's my squirrel flinger. It worked well until they figured out they can jump from the fence out of the bird feeder. So basically that's it for today. Enjoy your backyard birds. Enjoy your own backyard aviary. Experiment with what you have in the cabinet. Oh, the birds flying through the background would be funny. There's not a lot of airplanes flying, so the air is nice and clean right now. And maybe we'll update you on this throughout the year. So again, this is more for, you know, that preschool, early elementary set. One of the things I used to do with my kindergartners was I would bring them over to my dad's house because they were in walking distance of my school, and we would just sit and I'd give them a clipboard and a pencil, and they would draw birds and color them in based on the colors that they saw, and then we'd talk about it. And we'd talk about the shapes of the birds' bodies, the triangles for the tails and wings. We'd look at their beaks and see what kind of beaks they could see, and listen and just watch. And if you sit long enough, you can actually match the bird with the song, and that's kind of fun. Occasionally you hear one bird on that side of the yard and one bird on the other side of the yard, and they'll be talking. And you can also talk about what kind of birds are out in the morning versus what kind of birds are out at night.
Or bats.
And we actually have bats that fly around in the summer out here. Let's go see if we can find a woodpecker tree, Jamie. And all my friends.
It's gonna be near one of the ones we chopped down last year.
Yeah, I would. Oh, there it is. Keep a big hole in the tree. I'm trying to find which one it was. Daddy wanted to chop down. I said, no, you can't chop that one down. It's a habitat tree. It probably was this one because there's other little holes at the top. If you look at the very top of that one too, Jamie, it's pretty much all eaten. Not much of a top left to that one.
One at the old house.
There's acorns that I've been bitten into.
This is the tree that almost hit our house.
It's a large tree. Like, look at all this moss down here. The moss is starting to grow up. When I was younger, my mom and dad said there was fairy moss, so I couldn't step on it.
If you ever need a fun activity to do, along with all of these, just count the rings of a tree.
So that's it for today, everybody. Look, I'm a tree hunter for real. And I hope you guys have a great day. Go outside and listen for birds where you are and see what you can find. Have a great day, and I'll give you updates throughout the summer on the birds. Just remind me every now and then. See you guys tomorrow for story time.